Before the chaos. Before the cities burned. Before the world learned what true fear felt like. There was a boy. A normal life. A normal school. A normal world. That didn't stay normal for long. Yuji Itadori never wanted power. He didn't ask for curses. He didn't ask for destiny. He didn't even ask to be special. But the moment he swallowed that cursed finger, his life stopped belonging to him. Inside him, something ancient woke up. Something dangerous. Ryaman Sukuna. At first, it was just survival. A deal was made. A life exchanged for another. Yuji would live. As long as he could control what he had become. But control was never really his. He was thrown into the world of Jujutsu sorcerers. A hidden society where curses fed on human fear. And sorcerers hunted them in silence. That's where he met them. Megumi Fushiguro, calm, precise, carrying a burden heavier than his expression ever showed. Nobara Kojisaki, loud, sharp, fearless. Someone who refused to bow to fear. And Gojo Satoru. The strongest. The kind of person who didn't just bend the rules of the world. He laughed at them. Under Gojo's guidance, Yuji started to grow. Not just as a fighter, but as someone who finally understood what it meant to protect life. Every mission changed him. Every curse he exorcised. Every death he couldn't prevent. Every moment he hesitated. It all added up. But beneath the surface of this hidden war, something far darker was already moving. A curse that wasn't just hatred, but intelligence. Mahito. A being who didn't just kill humans, but studied them. And every encounter with him was a reminder that curses were evolving. Becoming smarter. Crueler. More human than humans wanted to admit. Then came the turning point. The world thought sorcerers were in control. It was a lie. Because behind the scenes, a body that should not have been alive was walking again. Suguru Geto. But something was wrong. It wasn't him. It was someone else. Wearing his face like a mask. A planner. A thinker. A man who had waited long enough for humanity to become predictable. Kenjaku. And while Yuji struggled to understand his place in all this, the balance of the world was already cracking. Curses weren't just appearing anymore. They were organizing. Preparing. Waiting. Then came Shibuya. A night that would change everything. A trap set with surgical precision. Gojo Satoru. Sealed away. The strongest sorcerer. Removed from the board in a single moment. And the moment that happened, the entire world tilted. What followed was not a battle. It was a collapse. Sorcerers fell. Civilians were caught in the crossfire. Friends were lost in seconds that felt like hours. Yuji ran through destruction that had no meaning anymore. Because this wasn't about winning. It was about surviving something that had already been decided. And when the dust of Shibuya finally began to settle, nothing was the same. The world of Jujutsu sorcery was exposed, fractured, and unstable. The balance between humans and curses was gone. Yuji no longer stood as a student. He stood as a target. Megumi was pulled into decisions that would define lives. And the higher powers of the Jujutsu world no longer looked like protectors. They looked like judges. Because now, the rules were changing. Not by heroes. Not by villains. But by something far older. And far more patient. And somewhere in the shadows, Kenjaku's plan finally began to unfold in full. A game designed not to be won, but to break everything that existed before it. Because Shibuya wasn't the ending. It was the opening move. And as the world stands now, on the edge of something it cannot understand, one truth becomes unavoidable. The era of controlled curses is over. The era of survival has begun. And in a world where even hope has rules, the question is no longer who will win, but who will still be alive when the game begins.